It's our show. Well, Jenny, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, you're more than welcome. Thanks for joining us. So, Jenny Halasz is a founder at JLH Marketing, a consultancy that specializes in search strategy with an emphasis on intuitive user experience and in successful customer acquisition. She's actually been doing this for over 15 years inside search, and Jenny is very knowledgeable about all areas of online marketing. She's worked with dozens of blue chip clients as well as plenty of small enterprises and startups. And Jenny, some of the clients that Jenny has actually worked with: SAP, Four Seasons Resorts. Oh yeah, really? The Humana, Priceline, Motorola, St. Laurent, Paris, Wharton School of Business. That's very cool. City Financial, HP, NBC Stores, and Lionsgate Films. Well, that's a bunch of nice brands there.
I have gotten the opportunity to work with some really great companies over the years.
And now Aaron Sparks of Site Strategics. So add that to the site.
Yeah, I'm going to add you to the list.
I should be right there, right next to the Lionsgate Films, huh?
That's MGM.
That is MGM. Wow. So Jenny writes actually a column, All Things SEO, for Search Engine Land, and is a contributing author over to SEO Like I'm 5, The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Search Engine Optimization. I like that because there's so many blog spaces and guides out there that they get themselves just immersed in so much geek that I mean the new person coming into SEO literally has no hope of trying to extrapolate.
It's true, yeah.
Good steps. So that's excellent. We got to check out that. Any thoughts in why'd you actually come up with that SEO Like I'm 5? I got to know that.
So it's not, I'm a contributing author. Mm-hmm. The book is actually written by a gentleman named Matthew Capalla.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And he wanted to do a whole series of Like I'm 5 books.
Okay,
asked me if I would contribute to this one. And I wrote a section on it about things that you need to do to future-proof your SEO, what you need to not worry about anymore, what
Excellent.
you need to focus on, what you need to think about for the future.
Very good, very good. I'm sorry I haven't read that yet. Jenny's also a search marketing instructor for ASPE and has also spoken at SMX, SES, PubCon, Conversion Conference, Internet Summit, and AMA and other conferences. So you're a widely known speaker, and we're certainly proud to have you on the show, Jenny.
It is my pleasure to be here.
Excellent.
You've had some amazing people on here over the last year and even beyond, and I'm honored to be selected.
Excellent. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, to get started, hey, give us a look into the day of Jenny Halasz.
The day of Jenny Halasz.
Yes.
It's not very exciting. I've got a couple of kids. I do a lot of stuff with PTA.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But when I'm working, it's mostly spreadsheets. My husband says I spend my time copying and pasting and doesn't understand why people pay me a lot of money to do that.
Nice.
So, the majority of my day is spent working with my clients. Mm-hmm. I only have a few clients. I'm very selective in who I choose to work with, mm-hmm. and I only work with between 6 and 8 clients at a time because it is just me who's doing all the work.
Right.
So they don't get anything farmed out to anybody junior. It's really me doing the work. I spend, like I said, a lot of time in spreadsheets, a lot of time in Google Analytics, Google Search Console, looking at log files, all these kinds of fun, really unsexy things. Mm-hmm. But what I really specialize in is ferreting out those complex technical problems. We just had one earlier this week where I was trying to figure out an Angular JS implementation that isn't working correctly. So sometimes I feel like beating my head against a wall.
That'll do it. Yeah, that will do it. So you're deep inside the annals of SEO for some select clients. I mean, you're kind of playing the alter ego there. You got the kids at home, and you're actually working at home, or do you have your own office?
I have an office in my home.
Excellent.
So it is separate from the rest of my home, but it is here in my home.
I did that for a while, and I had that's the Windows angel saying, "Don't go there, Sparks." No, but it is challenging, and especially with, how old are your kids?
They're school age, so
very
they're out of the house all day.
Roger that.
I couldn't possibly work with them here.
Yeah, I understand. That's why I ran away. Well, can you give me a perspective of the type of clients that you choose to work with, and some that maybe that don't fit the JLH the goals or the structure there? What kind of clients are you looking for?
It's difficult to say, but I would say certainly I am most interested in clients that have had some exposure to SEO and to search in general.
Yep.
A lot of times they've been burned by another agency or another consultant.
Yeah.
Just if I'm going to have to do, I do like to educate my clients on what we're doing, and I maintain real full transparency, but I don't want to have to really teach them why SEO is important. I need clients to already understand that when they hire me, and to see the value there. And if the client sees the value and understands the importance of SEO, then I could work with anybody. I've worked with some Silicon Valley startups. I've worked with enterprise-level companies, Fortune 100 companies, and kind of everything in between.
Excellent. That is
really has more to do with the client's adoption of SEO than necessarily their balance sheet.
No, absolutely, and that's paramount. In this day and age, it does go across the stratosphere of the different experience levels of SEO, but at least we're in a space now where it's no longer education, no longer convincing that this is actually a tactic that works. We're in a different space in this industry where, maybe some companies have been burnt by different SEO companies, or more importantly, maybe they here's the other side of the equation. Here is maybe those companies didn't give those other SEOs a bit of a chance. They maybe expected some other result with them, and unfortunately, sometimes those clients have some baggage that come from previous SEO engagements. But at least
that definitely happens.
No, you better believe it. You better believe it. But at least we're in a space now where there's some savviness, and then you can bank that most of the companies, most of the clients that you come across, have that knowledge and have that understanding of the value of this service, right?
Without a doubt.
Excellent. Well, you're constantly paying attention to the changes because we work inside of the Google seas, and when there's choppy waters, we all gotta hold on because we're.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. You like that? That's pretty good.
Add some thunderstorm sounds in the background.
Maybe a roar.
Nice.
I actually just watched in the Heart of the Sea, and that was an awesome movie.
Robert Redford?
It was not. No, it was whatever his name is, the guy who played Thor.
Oh,
pretty cool, big whale.
I saw it. We're doing a show right now. So. We're talking to Jenny. She does SEO for big clients.
Yeah, she sure does. And I have not had one.
Hey, we can talk movies. It's just that I haven't seen a new one in probably 6 months. I don't have any time.
All I've seen are kid movies. I can't get out. Sorry about that, Jenny.
Zootopia. Yeah, I definitely saw that one.
Finding Dory.
Yeah, exactly. Too many times in that space. Sorry about that, Jenny. I had a senior moment there, evidently. So we certainly pay attention whenever those algorithm changes start to happen. I mean, just to our audience, have you checked your organic searches traffic this morning? You may want to. It seems that Google has actually tweaked their search engine ranking, their algorithm, and your site may be ranking higher or lower on the same, depending on the update that may possibly have affected your web pages. Google originally did not confirm that the update, but based on a lot of chatter in the search community, it seems like an update is indeed happening. So give us your thoughts. Stop that.
Yeah, I definitely think an update happened. I mean, we were looking at the weather reports from SEMrush and the Ad Guru and all the other companies that track that, Moz, and definitely looks like there were some changes made. I've also seen some adjustments with a few of the clients that I have access to.
Right.
In general, and John Mueller confirmed this in the Webmaster Hangout, this was probably just kind of a series of core updates that happened together. And I think a lot of people don't understand quite what a core update means. It's more of just every now and then, I mean, pretty much all the time, Google is tweaking little pieces of the algorithm.
Absolutely.
And those little pieces affect all of these different areas. And I think people, start to see changes. They have bad links, let's say, and they've been hit by Penguin, which for any of your listeners who don't know is a web spam algorithm that primarily targets links that were obtained through nefarious means.
That's right.
They may see an improvement after a core update and think, oh, well, I haven't done anything else, so it must be Penguin.
Yep.
But what a lot of people, I think, forget is that links are a core part of Google's algorithm. So there are lots of signals that rely on link quality.
No, you're absolutely right.
Just because you see something improve after you clean up links, for example, does not mean that Penguin ran. And I mean, typically we would have seen shockwaves. Well, not even shockwaves, almost like a precursor to Penguin. Anytime Penguins run, we've seen bobbles in the weeks before it rolled out, and we just didn't see that this time. So when it first happened, everybody was shouting about it being Penguin.
Right.
Those of us who watch it on a regular basis were like, no, it's not Penguin.
And Google's John Mueller actually told us just recently, not us, but told the SEO community to cross off Penguin from the list of explanations for the Google update, and this was this past Friday. But it's very interesting to have that type of pulse on site traffic and site performance, and be able to have that type of perspective whenever you're anticipating a particular algorithm change. So just as for the layperson understanding about how far out do you see changes and shifts before an algorithm update starts to come through. Now we have there are updates all the time, and every year they're performing maybe 600 different changes. All different types of spectrums of very small changes to somewhat substantial, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, it varies. It's the kind of thing that I think only a practiced eye can see, and I wouldn't even be so bold as to say that I could always predict it. But if you keep an eye on things, you can kind of see. Google has a tendency, especially with something like Penguin or Panda, which, of course, Panda now is in Everflux, but before it was, to test in the weeks leading up to actually pushing the update live. And you see a lot of, kind of these bobbles, these increases in activity and then decreases in activity that are centered around those few weeks before that happens. If you go back and you look at any of the, and you'd have to be a real geek like me to do this, but if you go back and look at any of the weather reports trended out over time, you can see these bubbles that happen before a big update.
And some of those weather reports, we certainly are aware of the Moz timeline, but and as well as the Moz weather report. Are there other resources that you use to kind of cross reference and confirm these type of reports?
Oh, sure. I mean, almost everybody has these reports. SEMrush, Ad Guru, Moz. I can't even think of all of them right now, but there's a number of different sites. Compete.com has one. there's a number of different companies that try to trend and track. Search Metrics is one I was totally missing, but probably the one of the most reliable. They're all tracking these because they have such huge databases of information at their disposal.
No, absolutely, and that's invaluable to be able to see that and see the topography, so to speak, of different changes. So we know it's not a Penguin update. So do you really think that this was a substantial core update, or is this something that's heightened overreaction from a lot of SEOs that maybe are bored? I shouldn't say they're bored, but I mean, just from a reaction level, I mean, there is, I hate to say it, but there is a Chicken Little mindset.
Yeah,
you know,
the sky's falling.
There really is, and
no, there really is. And I think that even conversations like this kind of feed that paranoia, and we probably shouldn't. But
there was no real large update, folks. Okay. All right, go ahead.
No, there was actually a pretty significant update. But here's the thing: it's getting to the point where if you're doing the right things and if you're building your site in the ways that you're supposed to and following the rules that Google changes every 6 months. But I digress. I have a real love-hate relationship with Google.
I think we all do.
No, you're always sucking up to them. I'm the hate, you're the love on every show. Come on now.
If you're doing the right things, you're not going to see a big impact from an update.
No, you're absolutely right. And those updates are dialed in to shake off the spam, shake off the sites that are not earning the quality that Google's looking for. Now, I mean, with a big caveat is Google looks for certain things for you to, we were just talking about AMP here recently. Google's looking for things for in that space where it wants you to actually play with its own sandbox, right? So there are some hoops that you have to jump through to be able to take advantage, and I use that phrase, to take advantage of scoring opportunities on Google. And it's not just enough to have clean code. I mean, you do have to play in their sandbox, right?
Well, to a certain extent. I mean, I think that Google has really grand plans for how they want the web to work. And they also have grand plans for how they want their search engine to work. And in reality, it's a little bit more, reality is a little bit harsher than the utopia that they've built in their minds. I think that the result sets are getting better. They're getting better by the day, by the week. But some areas, particularly some industries, still have a long way to go. That being said, in terms of having to play in their sandbox, yes, you can implement AMP, and they like that, and it's fast. But I've seen just as good results from a site that just optimizes their code for speed on mobile as the ones that implement AMP. So it's really not a direct ranking factor that you implement AMP. It's a ranking factor that you make your site fast.
Exactly. No, I can agree. But I mean, I'm just looking at it as all things being equal and accomplished. There's additional sauce there, or grease, if you're using some of the Google tools, and
and then you have other things like Angular, for example, which they were all over at Google I/O saying they want everybody to start adopting Angular 2 now and implementing that, when in reality the search engine doesn't index it very well most of the time. We're still in a situation where pretty much everything has to be pre-rendered in order for them to even be able to understand it. And so they go around saying we can index all JavaScript, and people are building their sites in these forward-thinking and development-forward styles, and Google can't index it. So there's a little bit of that chicken and the egg thing happening here, where I feel like Google has their utopia that they want things to be like, and then they have the back-end systems that support that utopia, and they're not really on the same page all the time.
Yep, I would concur with that completely. They're wanting you to hurry up and play their game, but I mean, we saw with AMP the AMP deployment was clunky.
Right.
Things were breaking all over the place, and we're continuing to see these type of issues that they're asking us to embrace, but they're not supporting it yet. I guess they're just asking for future think. We want you to go play over there. We're not there yet.
Yeah, well, and I mean, how much of it is just them gathering data?
Oh yeah.
I think the SEO community is still a little bit shy of new Google stuff after what they did with authorship.
Yes.
Where they went around and said, "Hey, everybody, you got to put this authorship on your pages," and then they said, "Oh yeah, we got what we needed. Thanks."
Yep, absolutely.
We're not gonna give you that carrot anymore. So thanks for doing that, giving us all that data.
So, what are your thoughts about the mobile usability and the use of interstitials and a penalty that they're enforcing? They announced it back in January, but now they're bringing in the hammer. What do you think about all those?
I'm honestly thrilled about it.
Yeah.
As a user, I absolutely hate interstitials. They drive me crazy. I mean, I would really like to see them extend it to all intrusive ad types.
Yes, I agree.
It drives me.
Yeah,
it drives me batty that I can't load a page on my iPad without it reloading three times to load all the ads.
It sucks that publications would put out free information and possibly put an ad asking for some kind of
some sort of data.
That's me being sarcastic, Jim.
Yeah,
because we have a big one on our site.
I understand advertising is a revenue. I understand it's a revenue model, and you got to be able to deliver your ads, but when it gets to the point where you can't even load the page,
well, that's the thing is that
we
always call attention to Forbes and their Forbes intermediary page before you even get to the content. But the question is, how successful is that campaign?
That's exactly it. And Jenny, this is always my argument: is we have basically a big mat that pops down. And by far, it outperforms everything else we've done by like tenfold.
No, it's amazing.
And so it's even though it's irritating some people, and our stats continue to climb, we're not going down.
Right.
We're growing our email list like crazy, which is ultimately what we need to do as a publication. So I as a reader, I agree. as a publisher, I disagree.
That's interesting to hear that it's working because I haven't heard that feedback from a lot of people.
Huh.
A lot of people I've spoken with, publishers that I've spoken with, say, our ad team or our email team or whoever asked us to do this, but it's totally murdered our usability numbers.
I think Neil Patel has some great data on some of those formats and how they're performing.
Excellent.
Interesting.
I still hate it. Just saying.
I know.
How do you sleep with yourself at night? I mean,
wait a minute. Oh, we got to get back to that. What was that?
Wait a minute. That's a odd statement. We're just going to move on past that one. All right. Hey, Jenny, can we keep
Was that in reference to the interstitials or the person who posted the information?
I'm just going to move on. Hey, Jenny, can we pull you over to another segment and talking about future-proofing your website there?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, that's a lot of what we've been talking about already, which is if you're doing the right things, you're future-proofing yourself for whatever may come. But I would also add that, doing things like going to HTTPS for all your content delivery, these kinds of things, you do need to do this stuff. Although there's no direct ranking factor for secure pages, for example, you still need to be doing it because the concerns around privacy and the concerns
Yeah.
around controlled delivery are legitimate and
absolutely.
need to be addressed.
All right, so let's see if we can address a few of those key concerns here on our next segment. Can we hold you over for a couple more minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Conversation with Jenny Halasz. Jenny, thanks so much for carrying over and continuing to the next segment.
This has been fun.
Excellent. Even with the snark of Douglas Carr over here, right?
Wait, me?
Yeah, sure.
I thought you were
Oh,
going to call
he
yourself
just
out.
added to the fun.
So you haven't made Aaron cry yet. So.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still.
I
waiting.
didn't ask about you sleeping with yourself. So.
That was a very, very odd thing to say. Why in the world did that actually?
I don't know.
All right. I'm gonna.
We'll talk about it later over a bourbon, buddy.
There it is. So I want to talk to you about future-proofing the websites, and we certainly have been talking about that today in these segments of what needs to be done in today's choppy waters of Google ranking. But you said it right, is that if you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing and keeping your proverbial nose clean inside of web content, giving good authentic content, and there's a number of things that should be done with any website in this era now. Yeah, those are the steps to make sure that you're securing your ranking future. So, can you tell me a couple key points that you'd like the listeners to embrace?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that you need to be really mindful of, especially as you're building out a lot of content, whatever type of content that may be on your website. You need to make sure that you're controlling the architecture of the site, because it's very easy for it to get out of hand and overwhelming. And you need to make sure you know how everything is being structured within your site so that as changes happen, you can easily adapt to those changes. One of the things that you really need to make sure you're doing is going secure.
Right.
I initially was not a fan of this, and I've been doing a lot more reading about some of the ways in which the delivery process is being interrupted. Things like I was in a hotel room and I was using the hotel Wi-Fi,
Right.
and I went to my own website and there was an ad on my website.
Really?
And I don't have ads on my website. So the Wi-Fi delivery partner was actually inserting advertising into this delivery system so that sites that didn't have ads were showing up with ads. And that was monetizing their Wi-Fi delivery. And they can do that as long as there's no secure connection. So there's some things like that have just made me think, well, even though I don't take credit cards on my website, I still need to work on getting it to HTTPS.
Right.
And full disclosure, I haven't done it yet.
Well, and
but it's on my to-do list.
I mean, I think it's a good idea for any site that's accepting any type of data.
Mm-hmm.
If you're accepting personal data, obviously the round robin being secure is a good idea.
Yeah, and Google has certainly presented the thoughts here over the last conferences that's an important thing. They've been championing it, but they've also championing the secure connection for its consumers. So you haven't experienced it for your own site, but any key thoughts about pitfalls to avoid whenever you're deploying an HTTPS website?
Oh, I could go on for days about that.
There's a bunch.
That's, if you're going to go to HTTPS, you need to make sure and work with somebody who really knows what they're doing here, because everything from, if you deliver your image content through Akamai, or if you use a CDN, all of that has to be secure. All of those connections have to be secure. So you have to make sure everything in the back end is set up correctly. All your JavaScript files have to be secure, everything, or you're going to end up throwing errors when your users try to access the site. Not to mention the fact that if you don't get all your redirects in place, you may really, really tank yourself on SEO.
We literally just completed a job doing this for a client this last week, and I got to tell you, our best friend is Screaming Frog because it's got the insecure content check.
Yep.
So
I love Screaming Frog.
Yeah.
Screaming Frog and Deep Crawl, just the two best tools ever invented, in my opinion.
Was fantastic with unsecure items. We did one at the end of the year. We're doing one right now, and these are needing to be deployed. These encryption jobs, and you certainly got to know what you're looking for, because I mean, one page can have 170 connections happening, and every one of those has to be secure. It only takes one. It takes one to break the padlock. And with Google's response, right? Google's actually interrupting the feed, say, hey, this is an unsafe site in a particular manner. Do you want to keep on going just because of the broken padlock? That's a bit heavy-handed, I gotta say. But at the same time, if they're insisting upon a fully secure session, right, then you best button it down. So no, you're absolutely right. There's a process, and there's some tools out there that can absolutely tie this down. It's certainly valuable. Any other future-proofing website points that you might want to bring to the conversation here?
Yeah, let's see. Secure. Architecture, and then in terms of content, it's not so much a future-proofing thing, but I'm a little uncomfortable with all the SEOs that are out there saying, well, just create content, just create more and more and more and more content, and then you've got all your usability, all of your not usability, conversion people saying. Well, and you'll get higher click-through rates if you include a number, like 6 ways to do this, or 10 things you didn't know, and it's creating content fatigue
I agree
for your customers.
Yes.
If you're going to create content, make it be good content. Don't just throw stuff at a wall and see what sticks.
We continue to push, and Jenny, maybe you can help spread the word, is we continue to push the concept of a content library. And that's, what is the defined kind of set of content that you need? And there'll always be new things, industry news or product updates or whatever. But start to think about your site, as a library, and which articles do you want in it? And go work on those articles. And if there's new news about something, you don't have to write a totally new article. You can go back in and enhance a post or a page that you already have, and make it better, bring it up to date, and then that's already got some juice typically on it. But yeah, I love that concept, because I'm tired of this, this manufacturing of crap. I think Jay Baer did an analysis for his book that showed, something like 80 to 90% of your traffic comes to 10% of your content.
Right.
And so, you think about the price per post that people are paying. It's $800 that a company is paying to write a blog post, and they don't realize it because of infrastructure and everything else that they're paying for. And it has to end. I totally agree. It has to end. Sorry, that's my diatribe.
I completely agree. I love the idea of thinking about it as a content library. That's really good. And that's really what Google is looking for. That's what everybody is looking for, frankly, is a thorough treatment on a subject. And when we don't treat subjects thoroughly, then we're just doing everybody a disservice.
Absolutely. Quality content that actually answers search queries. Who'd have thunk that's what consumers actually want? Stop churning this crap
Oh, and
out.
for goodness sake, stop with it has to be 250 words.
Yes. Yes. My goodness.
I really, really enjoyed. I was at SMX Advanced earlier this year, and Gary Yesh was talking about this, and he just went off on this fabulous rant about how if you can write 1,000 words on how to boil an egg, he just doesn't even want to know you. And it's like, if it takes 30 words, use 30. If it takes 150, use 150. If it takes 10,000, use 10,000.
Yep. But write it to what's
really,
needed.
Yeah, it was entertaining.
There are no predefined thresholds. I mean, there are what we knew years ago of how you needed to hit certain densities. I mean, this is old school stuff, people. You don't do that anymore. You don't have certain repetitive keywords. You don't watch your term count on a page. You write quality content that answers questions, and that's it. And the usability and the performance comes from actually answering the bloody questions. Oy.
What a concept!
What a concept! Okay. So anything else in the future proofing that you'd recommend to listeners take advantage of?
Just don't be dumb.
There it is, right there.
If whatever you're thinking about doing sounds dumb, don't do it.
Yep, absolutely. Well, you're speaking next up at PubCon regarding Google Analytics customization.
I will be at PubCon, and I'm really looking forward to that. But actually, even before that, I'm going to be at SMX East.
Oh, very cool.
In New York.
Oh, man, I'm sorry we're going to miss you. That's coming up here in 2 weeks, right?
That's right.
Oh boy! Well, we hope to see you at the next SMX. We're not going to be able to be out there this time, but hopefully we'll wrangle you around and a few others that have been on the show here recently. But that's exciting to be able to see that you continually give back with a level of education. That's really important for people to be able to get good information, good authority at these conferences.
It's my passion.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. So inside of this industry, what kind of bugs you right now about the industry?
I think a lot of the things we've been talking about, right? Yep. This kind of trying to game the system, trying to figure out exactly what needs to be done now, right. And trying to reverse engineer everything. It's been going on for a long time, but it's getting really, really aggravating at this point because you can talk to somebody who on the one hand is talking about how fantastic RankBrain is and how isn't it wonderful that Google can understand synonyms, right. And then in the next breath they're saying, but you really need to repeat that keyword again.
Yeah. There's no consistency, is there?
Right.
No.
It's very challenging.
No, I completely understand that. Well, I mean, in that same space, can you tell me what excites you about the industry right now?
I think we're closer to that utopian search experience than we've ever been in the past. I'm absolutely thrilled that people are starting to talk about topicality and treating topics in a holistic way rather than trying to break it out into an individual page for every variation of the keyword. I'm excited that people are talking about doing real PR, public relations, not PageRank.
There it is.
real public relations.
Real marketing.
About, trying to build a name for a company and obtaining links in a natural way. It's very exciting.
No, absolutely, and that I think we all concur here. We're seeing there was separation of the wheat from the chaff, and what was happening 10 years ago. You're not seeing the goals of a black hat nearly as much anymore, and people are finally realizing they have to be authentic, and authentic brands.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to emphasize, there's still a place for the black hats, and I respect the black hats because they're the ones that push the search engines to do better.
And we all benefit from
And if it weren't for them, we'd still be at 10 blue links that, have the keywords repeated 100 times.
Yep.
So if it weren't for the black hats, we would not be anywhere near where we are today. But I think the important thing and what I want to see the industry really get behind is that you don't do black hat tactics without the client having full knowledge of what you're doing and full buy-in on what you're doing. Because just like if I call a plumber to come to my house and fix a broken pipe, I don't know if he uses a crappy pipe. I don't know if he doesn't get that joint fully fixed until the water starts pouring out of my walls.
That's right.
If you're a business owner and you're just going about your day trying to run your business and you hire somebody to do your online marketing, then you have to feel like you can trust that person to know what they're doing. And when we don't have full disclosure, that's when people really get burned.
You're absolutely correct, and you know, black hats certainly have a space out there, but you got to know who you're hiring, because I mean that crappy plumber that's coming in and helping you fix something for cheap, you may have a flooded basement here very soon. All right, well,
exactly.
Thank you so much, and I gotta ask you, what about Candy Crush?
What?
No. I'm obsessed.
Still?
No, in all seriousness, I actually really love the game. It challenges me to think in a temporal and spatial way that I don't get to do very often. And I find a lot of times when I'm dealing with a complex problem, if I play a couple of games, if I take a break and play a couple of games of Candy Crush, sometimes the answer will just come to me while I'm using that other part of my brain.
Wow.
So for me, it's a very productive thing. I can't really explain it. I don't know the physiological
So just
reason
just
behind
normal
it,
Candy
but,
Crush, or do you do Candy Crush Soda, or do you alternate?
No, really just Candy Crush.
Excellent. Hey, if it works,
I don't. I mean, I play probably 10 or 15 games a day, but spread out. Play a couple while I'm eating my breakfast. Play a couple when I can't solve a problem. Play a couple before bed. All
right, Jenny. Sorry, you have a problem. There's got to be.
I know. I really do.
Help for you.
Are there Candy Crush therapy groups? Is that what I'm hearing here?
Well, I'm not sure, but there probably should be one. I think it is an addiction.
What level are you on? I got to ask.
I knew you were going to ask me that, so I wrote it down. 1332.
Oh, I didn't know it that high.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
There should be real Snickers bars coming out by now.
Wow. I don't even want to know what happens at that level. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Can you tell our listeners how to get a hold of you and where to find you?
Best way to find me is on Twitter. I'm at Jenny Halasz, JennyHalaszz. Or you can hit me up on LinkedIn, or my website, which is JLH-marketing.com.
Excellent. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the show. We're certainly going to promote you out as the podcast drops. And Doug's the bad cop over here. He's gonna say.
Oh yeah, we'll talk crap about you if you don't promote the show.
All right.
We haven't done that in a while, so.
Don't do it to Jenny. Jenny's
a
friend.
Just as I write all my stuff, I also don't schedule tweets. So if you see a tweet, it's really me.
It's authentic.
Nice.